Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining and making time to be part of this journey of conscious ambassadorship with me. Thank you, Hansra team, for inviting me to participate on this panel. Whether it's guiding me through strategic planning or being a thought partner on a potential project, even being a listening ear when I'm searching for clarity, I appreciate you and I am grateful for the partnership. So thank you again. My name is Sanita Lewis. I am the Director of Anchor Mission Strategies with Westside United. I have always had a strong belief in the power of inclusive leadership and intentional listening, and I understand that real transformational change can only occur when those most affected by a problem are empowered to be part of the solution. As a conscious ambassador, this has shaped my approach to creating strategies for various portfolios of work that I support. I'm always seeking to elevate voices that are often marginalized, listening with my whole self, and instituting a level of empathy and compassion into everything that I do. Conscious awareness for me means many things. And so, as I developed this presentation, I wanted to really focus in on those areas that I felt most relevant to share with others in hopes that you can take some of this information back and that it may resonate with you and that you'll share. I read in a blog once that self awareness is the lamp that illuminates your path. And I can't think of a truer way to represent what that means, at least for me. I've always considered myself to be self aware. I thought that I knew myself pretty well, but I've learned that new experiences can expose parts of yourself that you didn't know were there. You may find things unexpectedly triggering, or your response to a situation is surprising, but it's important that you acknowledge how you're feeling in these moments and allowing for vulnerability and honesty with yourself in order to grow as a leader, as a person. If I'm upset, I can tell myself I'm upset. I am my own friend, so I can tell my friend anything. If I'm not acknowledging the thoughts and the feelings that I'm experiencing, how can I then manage them in order to be most effective in my role? And how can I encourage others to do the same? And because I am my friend, I'm going to try and help find solutions. So I'll ask, why am I feeling this way? Am I allowing past experiences or bias to dictate how I respond or react? And if so, I want to release that. Like, I don't want to allow those thoughts and ideas to stifle my ability to create and imagine what is possible. I want my thoughts to flow without limits or barriers. I heard someone say once that because the business was from the West Side, they couldn't scale and they couldn't take on larger opportunities. And while that was his bias talking, those words can have dire effects on what is possible, especially in this work. Now, this misinformation has been shared with others that are potentially planting a seed in their mind. So while positive comments and positive thoughts will grow, so do negative ones. So, what does that mean for that business who is looking to secure financing or apply for a vendor contract? I'm reminded of the quote that begins with, "Watch your thoughts, they become your words." Excuse me, and continues on to describe how words become actions, they become character, and eventually destiny. And so we want to just always be mindful of those words and how, and no one's perfect, right? It's not to say that I don't ever have negative thoughts or succumb to bias. And this realization doesn't always happen before the negative thought or the snippy response or sarcastic tone, but I make myself aware of these thoughts, and I know I have the power to make a conscious effort to eliminate them the next time. As you can see, I'm going with a stream of quotes. That way you have something that you can take back and actually use. Um, so listening for me is a cornerstone of conscious ambassadorship. It means giving my mindful attention to the people around me, being in the moment, not thinking about the future or the past, but being present. So to listen is to lean in softly with a willingness to be changed by what we hear. I mean, isn't this really what listening is? A willingness to be changed or challenged by what we hear? I added challenge because sometimes we're not ready to change, but we can challenge our assumptions and our bias in hopes that it may lead us to change. I've had a lot of conversations during my lifetime, and my work requires that I meet with people almost every day. People sharing ideas, sharing feedback, their challenges and experiences, all for the purpose of advancing our shared mission of eliminating the life expectancy gap. Often I am jumping right from one meeting to another with little time to digest all the information from the previous conversation. So, one way that I've tried to remedy this is by building in buffering time before my meeting. And this allows me to jot down any thoughts from the previous meeting and prepare to be fully present for the next. So essentially, I'm trying to clear my mind and prepare it to receive new information without bias or preconceived notions, shedding any past experiences or encounters, which could have been that last meeting. Um, Essentially, I want to drop my baggage outside the door and be intentional. And being intentional also means for me, like just reminding myself when I'm in receiving mode and when I'm in reporting mode. When I'm receiving, I want to listen with the purpose of hearing, with a willingness to be changed or challenged. When I'm in reporting mode, I want to share authentically. This is very important in my work as there are often competing entities being asked to be trusting and open to sharing. So, how can I ask that of others when I'm not offering that same vulnerability? It can mean the difference between a successful strategy and one that falls flat. So often, as people, we are multitasking while we drive the kids to school, on the way to another meeting, and eating lunch in the car on the way. And in the race for productivity, real progress can get lost. And I don't mean misinformation, but a missed connection that could have been made. And I don't know if this resonates with anyone else, but have you ever been on a call where you were multitasking and missed a question directed towards you? Or have you ever been bearing your soul to someone when they veer off topic to talk about something completely unrelated? Or they pick up their phone to respond to a text and say, "Go ahead, I'm listening." Something is lost in those moments. At least I know for myself, I may no longer be as enthused as when I was first starting to share. When I'm building relationships and collaborating with others, I want to encourage sharing and I want to create an environment that is conducive to doing so. Lastly, I would share that being a conscious listener has also included a level of self reflection. Looking back on the conversation and asking, did I give my full attention? Did I give space for others to share and provide insight? Was I gracious in my response to feedback? The answers are not always yes, but I'm better today than I was yesterday. As a connector and convener, relationships rank extremely high on what makes a strategy successful. At all times, I choose to offer the most genuine version of myself. I really don't know how to be anyone else. I don't show up with my representative, right? I engage in genuine interactions, or at least that's always the goal. I believe people can sense when an interaction lacks authenticity, where the intentions may be shrouded in awkward compliments in an attempt to extract information. 90% of my work is successful through relationships, whether it's funders, anchor institutions, corporate partners, community organizations, businesses, or residents. Cultivating these relationships requires that, excuse me, arrive with an elevated consciousness and begin every engagement with a positive mindset. I come with the expectation that it's going to be fruitful, whatever the outcome. But again, I am not perfect. I sometimes fall short of the elevated consciousness I'd like to have. However, I am forever a student in this world, and I make a conscious effort to grow with each experience and each encounter. Applying an elevated consciousness plays a critical role in shaping my approach to the work. Working with diverse stakeholders, I strategically design environments that support inclusive, community centered decision making. And that is to ensure that those most impacted by economic disparity and those closest to the problem have a seat at the table rather than us making top down decisions. I don't strive to be the smartest person in the room or the most experienced. However, I know that I bring something uniquely me to the table, and I recognize the same is true for everyone else. I not only embrace the differences in thought and perspective, but I seek them out because they more often than not will lead to innovative solutions. I want a community resident at the table with the CHRO when we talk about ways to increase the number of local hires coming from the community. Let's talk to someone from philanthropy about what funders want to see when they support a career pathway program. I want an incumbent worker who can share their experience as an employee and what benefits will improve their economic outcomes. Or the voice of a small business as they are the economic engine of a community. If everyone brought turkey to the Thanksgiving potluck, that would not be an exciting meal unless you really, really like turkey. If you've ever attended a really good potluck, you hear a lot of, who made this? Can I get the recipe for that? The concept applies here too. When I am convening groups of people, they are coming from all walks of life with varying degrees of experience and expertise. Being a conscious ambassador reminds me that all voices hold value. It was important and is important for me to convene spaces that encourage inclusive dialogues where leaders and other organizational staff are encouraged to share their lived experiences and aspirations along with their organizational goals. I think oftentimes we tend to see ourselves outside of ourselves in our work. So this approach allows individuals to feel empowered to tap into their personal thoughts and their personal emotions and their external environment, which leads to more thoughtful and deliberate choices. Consciousness ensures that decisions are not just automatic reactions, but are considered responses that reflect their personal values, the well being of others, and long term outcomes. Integrating this mindset into my work has been key. I often talk about, and people have heard me say that I want to create an ecosystem. And it's not just the intersecting of goals or activities, but a connectivity of purpose, resources, a sharing of knowledge, experience, and networks to expand the boundaries and elevate impact. We want to provide empowerment through elevated consciousness as a collective. One of the things that I've really been focusing my attention on is, serving the servers, uplifting the uplifters, and just being very mindful of, that these are actual people in these roles. Through the various conversations and interactions, I'm listening and hearing people who are passionate but maybe a bit worn down or feeling stuck and need new ideas. So bringing those diverse conversations to the table also sometimes allow us to refill our cups. And so being that convener, being that connector, I want to make sure that I am providing the space for individuals to do that and continue moving through this work. And thank you.